evening, listeners. Um, Tonight's topic will be gaming companies and international incidents. How you doing, Lady Iceilla?
I'm doing pretty well. Yourself?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Sir Mios?
Well, I can't complain. How you doing?
I can't complain either. How you doing, Lady RoseKitty?
I'm doing well. Good to hear from you guys.
Good. So, what do you think about tonight's topic, Lady Rose?
I find it rather interesting. I find that, sorry, cut out a little on my end. I tend to find, especially if the company is based in the U.S., I think generally it should probably keep its nose out of the political realm because it tries to, like what happened with Blizzard and the guy who was pro Hong Kong, and then the event that happened with Hearthstone a couple days later. It's like, guys, just do what Twitter has been doing from Go. And what? No, they don't represent us. They just happen to be here. We can't control them because, it's free speech. But they tend to want to get more interested in money than understanding what it is to actually be able to voice your opinion.
What? How does that one song go from ABBA? Money, money, money must be funny in a rich man's world.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that song.
To play a bit of devil's advocate on your point there, Rose, it seems like their intention was to stay uninvolved, but by being a little too harsh with their method, they kind of ended up taking a stance and causing themselves to be involved.
Well, and that's the thing. If instead of, trying to force a stance, that they had just looked at the player in question who had made the comment and just said, hey, you have thousands of followers and your own Twitch, your own YouTube, your own etc. Maybe keep your politics there. If they had done that instead of screwing him on the money or screwing him on the how long he could play and then having to backtrack afterward with the community, or it's like, okay, if you had literally just used your brains for a minute and gone, maybe keep your personal stuff to yours, and then we don't care, everybody's copacetic. But they jumped the gun too fast because they were worried about losing sponsorship.
Well, here's the thing. Guys, wouldn't it have hurt to have said, please don't have these topics? Like, during this show, please don't have these topics. Or, yeah, I know that is hard and everything, but they did go really far overboard with all of that.
I wholeheartedly agree. They went a little too far, and that's something that probably should have been even handled in private. That's how I was always taught, that if you need to talk to someone about something like that or counsel them, that you do it in private, you don't do it in public.
Exactly, but also all this, should have been in the rules, and they should have known ahead of time, right?
I think they are, actually.
Yeah, the rule they used to basically get the guy was you're not allowed to make Blizzard look bad, effectively, and damage its image, and that's the rule they used to screw him. But it's like, okay, with half the stuff you've done to your own games, I mean, we don't have to try and make you look bad. Literally, all we have to do is stream your decisions. Yay.
And can we please cue a clip of Blizzard getting booed off the stage at BlizzCon? Last year was it?
Last year, yeah.
Yeah.
Diablo Immortal, whatever.
Don't you all have phones? You're talking to people who spend how many dollars on towers? But yeah, we're going to go from a 30-inch screen or sometimes projector to 6 inches. Bravo.
Well, they were trying to push gamer phones too, but I suppose that's another topic.
Oh, I've seen the gamer phones. I've actually entered a contest for one of those gamer phones. I really don't need a game. You don't need a gamer phone. If you need a phone like that for any reason, just save your money for a computer. Literally.
Exactly.
Save your money for a computer. You'll get so much more out of it.
Oh yeah, of course.
They heat up your phone way too fast and they eat your battery way too fast. Why would you want to do that to a phone? It's just stupid in my eyes.
Oh yeah, and I think most people agree with.
Well, I mean, there's this great craze, and Nintendo's been really good at this about kind of reintroducing activity to the gamers, starting with the Wii, and then the more portable systems like the Switch, kind of telling you go out, have landline parties, have fun with friends, and it's like that is a very good thing. Pokemon Go, great idea for getting people out and about, even if there are a lot of stories of people finding bodies while they're out and about. But at the same time, it's
and causing bodies to appear in some cases.
Yeah. But if they're getting out at the very least, I can commend that, but it's how you do it, and maybe don't try and do it through Diablo, because at that point it's like, okay, how long until you're trying for Overwatch Go? Look, I caught a tracer! No. And this is why it really is audience. If you're not going to be cognizant of your audience, you're going to have problems. It's what happened with Blizzard. It's what happens with all sorts of these companies. They project to the loudest group, and they don't realize that their actual audience has no give a craps about what they're trying to pitch. Like even with Star Wars, they tried to pitch this great. I'm sorry. I'm a Star Trek fan, so take it as you will. We we have actual stories instead of Days of Our Lives in Space. So, send Star Wars hate here. But for what it's worth, Fuel at a note, like 8 films in, however many books, and now you're bringing Fuel, not to mention a dozen other ways. It's like, okay, maybe instead of screaming to or punching to the one loud group, maybe just give the Star Wars fans a Star Wars movie. It's Days of Our Lives in Space, starring the Skywalker family. It's not like you could screw that up, but apparently you can. Badly.
Well, the original idea was to follow very old storytelling archetypes: the wise old man, the princess in trouble, and so on and so forth. The youth setting out for adventure.
Right.
Well, and Lucas.
Sorry to interrupt, but since we're going on a Star Wars rant here for some reason, I just want to say everyone's blaming the director for the Star Wars movies for how the story's being told. But, ladies and gentlemen, please stop blaming the director, because the director is working with the script they were given. The writers come before the director. Blame the writers. They're the ones who wrote this shit.
Yeah, but Rian Johnson really should have vetoed some of the stuff before it ever got to him. He really should have. Like, he was directing it. He's the one who made the decisions that he did to put on what he did to focus on who he did. Because, I mean, even if the writers give him a completely crap story, going from the couplet style of writing that Lucas is known for, because, I mean, he himself has said it pairs, the story of Anakin pairs with Luke, should have paired with Rey, but Rian Johnson decides, okay, you're a nobody, this is nothing. Snoke is supposed to be this great villain, and, all these thousands of hours of fan videos about who he could be, and he's killed off screen like a wuss. And well, he's killed on screen, but still like a wuss, and it's kind of one of those, okay, so if you're basically saying, and actually taking the line from the movie here, this, get rid of the past even if you destroy it, well, he kind of did, I mean, a director still has to make the decision, and I don't think he made very many good ones.
Never found out who Snoke was, by the way.
No, we didn't, and that's what drove me nuts. I mean, how many theories were out there that he was actually Windu?
That was a fun one.
And it would...
he has a similar score of music to Darth Plagueis, and there's a theory that Darth Plagueis actually survived.
I thought they were connecting one of the two of what you mentioned to Emperor Palpatine, basically. I'm trying to connect that route.
There was a lot of little theories, but again, as Rose was saying, none of that matters now because we never found out. And I don't think, unless they explain it after the fact, we're not going to find out.
Well, and it doesn't. And I think this is my biggest problem, and why I'm okay letting him have it with Dole Barrels as a director. He came out and blamed the fans for their fan theories. That's where it was like, okay, because I mean, and this goes back to kind of the original topic with gaming companies and companies in general. You never blame the fan. They're the ones putting food on your table by buying your product. Maybe don't tell them they're idiots. Just like Blizzard. What, you don't have phones? That's why your stock fell. Because you basically told your fan base they're morons. Can't do that.
Blizzard didn't just tell their fan base that they're morons. Blizzard also told their fan base, you do one little tiny thing that usually involves free speech, and we're going to screw your career, we're going to screw you of your entertainment, and yeah, basically, we already know you don't like us, so let's make you not like us even more.
And that's exactly what they did. They're not listening to the fan base. They're listening to what they think is their bottom dollar. And it comes down to this horrible, horrible sentence that every PR group seems to be following in California right now. But the chart says, it's like, dude, fire your PR team and get somebody who actually speaks fluent nerd. Because your chart following asshole has no idea how to nerd at all.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Once upon a time, they actually, back in vanilla and BC, cared about the fan base. And now they just don't.
Well, is Blizzard the only gaming company that has ever got screwed up this much with something this, I hate to say it, but almost political standing? Like, causing this big of an incident?
I mean, there's been other companies that has been royally screwed up, according to their fan base, but I don't think they've made this big of a wave to my memory.
Well, and I mean, this one hits for Holt on the left and the right. It's okay. If he earned the money, you got to pay him what he earned. So you've got that group of people. You've got the group of people that are going, okay, it's his First Amendment right to say whatever he wants, especially if you're an American-based company. You need to be defending that. So you've got that group. Then you've got the pro-Hong Kong group. And it's like, no matter what group you fall into, this one crossed the line. Because if you're in the United States, you go with that freedom of speech. It's like the one. We don't even get to the Second Amendment in this country half the time. We just go straight at the first, and go, my freedom of speech is I can say whatever I want. And then we start arguing call to action, but whatever. But it's the fact that it's like when you cross a line, restricting what somebody can say, especially on the internet, which is supposed to be the freest place of expression just from the anonymity alone, restricting that takes away, I think, from everybody who uses the internet. Because it's like, okay, if this opinion is now restricted, how far until we're not able to say or think anything without fear of reprisal?
Yeah, I think, see, I don't have a problem with Blizzard giving him his earnings that he deserved. What I have a problem with is if you are looking at this from a court procedure and a criminal being put on the stand saying, okay, he did wrong. First, what was it? They kind of banned him from the tournament for a year, and then they reduced his sentence down to, 6 months or 8 months or something?
I think it was 6.
Yeah. Why didn't they just hold to their guns and say, okay, this is how it has to be? Why did they wimp out?
Here's the thing.
That's
Blizzard got hit hard with all the people that said, you did this, you did that, you did this. You're crossing a line. Blizzard had to give a little before they lost a lot.
Well,
And in their mind, reducing the sentence sort of made it so, hey, wait a minute, here's a guy who gets, I don't know, thousands of views. I don't watch him personally, so I apologize.
I don't either.
But here's a guy who gets thousands of views, big enough that he makes money off of this. And meanwhile, and he has so many people, and he's basically advertising Blizzard's game every single time he plays. And there's guaranteed going to be someone going, I want to be as good as him. If you do one person like that for out of every 100 that watch him, you got a decent amount of people who are going to start spending money to play the game. So they lose ad revenues by keeping him banned for so long.
Yeah. Not to mention, after this entire thing happened, one of the original creators of World of Warcraft sent in screenshots of him deleting his account because it was like, and he said in his screenshots, as one of the guys who helped create this game, it's deplorable how far you guys have fallen with what they've done. And it's true. They've gone from being about the community to following these restrictions set down by a country that they're not even part of. And I recognize that it's because gold farming is an actual job in China, but at the same time, it's like your game exists because of the fans, not because of the way Mafia launders their money.
Right.
I think something to keep in mind is it's not unusual for a company to try to be politically neutral. They don't want to be involved in politics. So him basically representing Blizzard, but then in the forum of one of their own tournaments, mentioning something about Hong Kong is something that they would probably want to avoid, and is in their own rules of something you're not supposed to do. And something else to keep in mind is it's not unusual for companies to take the concerns of their foreign markets in mind. All of early video games, say like Nintendo, a lot of that it's Japan. They took a lot of things that we like in mind when making video games.
See, I'm not saying that there shouldn't have been repercussions. It's against the whole agreement list that you don't talk about this. You don't make the company look bad. It's in the agreement, okay, fine. Yeah, there should be punishment. The only thing I'm having a problem with is they went too far with it. And
definitely agree.
Just give him what he earned and ban him, that would have been enough. Or even even ban him for suspend his account or whatever for a certain amount of time and give him a small fine, we're keeping some of this because of you breaking contract, okay. But they took everything. It wasn't a few hundred. It was 1,000 some odd?
10 grand.
Yeah, it was 10 grand.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
So, come on, Blizzard. It was 10 grand and you gave the guy nothing. You give the guy a bit and say, we're keeping back, I don't know how much is a fine. Then, okay. You both settled it. You're punishing the guy, you're settling it, but you're not completely ruining a fan base. You're not completely showing your fans, yeah, we don't like this. We're just saying it's a no-no, but we still respect that we're here because of your business.
Yeah, see, I don't know. It's just like an itch I can't scratch. The thing that keeps bugging me, I don't care. It doesn't bother me that they gave him his winnings because that's what he earned, or not really earned, but that's what he won. That doesn't bother me. I'm fine with that. It's still the same, and I realize, he's a Twitcher, and so he kind of represents them, and they represent him in a sense. But it's this whole he should have been thankful they weren't going to say, we're going to ban you for 5 years or 10 years. A year is pretty, in my mind, still getting off easy, and then they reduce it to 6 or 8 months or whatever. That would sound pretty fair to me if I was looking at this from a legal or courtroom setting.
Yeah, it's a good thing to save face, but it's a time and a place and how you do it.
Right.
In regards to the audience at large. Because effectively what we're advocating right now in this discussion is for doing what the NFL did to its players in the 90s. You said a naughty slap on the wrist. Okay, go back to doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I could have seen this going like so much worse. Blizzard could have said, we're going to ban you for 5 years, 10 years, for the rest of your life. But no, they said 1 year and that's it. And then they, I don't know. It's just, I don't like that they reduced it. You know, it could have been so much worse, but it seems like a year wouldn't have been so bad.
Well, here's the thing. We keep saying to Blizzard, you're not listening to your fans. The fans had such an outcry against this. Blizzard reduced it, saying, hey, we hear you. We still have to punish the guy, but we'll make it a bit less. It's sort of going, yeah, we overreacted, so we'll just make it a bit less. And now everyone's going, so you're basically just giving him a slap on the wrist, and that's it.
Right.
Blizzard is basically damned if they do and damned if they don't.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
If it wasn't even for the subject matter, I don't know that people would have cared very much. It's not unusual for someone to be disqualified from a tournament for their conduct.
No, it's just the fact that it's a heated issue, and rather than treat it with kid gloves or corporation gloves of saying, deal it here, save face, take care of it behind the doors, representative, employee to employer, because that's kind of the representation they have. Even though he's a player and only winning tournaments, because of what he represents as a net value, he is effectively a walking billboard employee. And if you don't treat him as such, especially with something this controversial, it's going to blow up in his face. And we saw that it did.
And then Blizzard got the backlash from the fans.
Mm-hmm. Well, since we've only got about 8 minutes before we wrap this fun up, I was thinking we could do a little bit of hot seat fun. What do you guys think?
Down, let's do it. Is everybody else good for it?
I'm down for some hot seat.
I have no idea what that is.
Oh, you're going to have fun.
You're going to have fun. Oh, yeah.
It's 30 seconds on Deathwing. Go!
Oh, man. I love dragons, but he was scum. He came through and ripped through pretty much the whole entire world. And he ripped through Stormwind, destroying the clock tower in the middle, knocking over statues that have been there for years and years. And he caused tidal waves, tsunamis, the whole bit, and he ruined people's lives.
There you go. Ice, 30 seconds on Crummy.
On
Go.
On what
On
topic?
Crummy. 30 seconds on Crummy. Yep. Go.
Okay, Chromie, that lovable little gnome we all love and hate at the same time, who thinks that she can play around with people's lives because the hourglass is basically her time machine, or, I am sorry for this, her TARDIS. But she also believes that you're allowed to break whatever codes. You can see yourself in the past and not give two shits on how that is going to destroy the future. She actually has a full-blown conversation with her at all.
Very nice. Mios, 30 seconds on Thrall. Go.
Green Jesus. I remember following him from Warcraft 3. I liked the redemption of his people's culture and history, and bringing the Orcish race from not just from being a barbarous horde, but up from nothing, basically. Convincing old war chiefs to change their ways. He changed the horde into what it is. He's an integral character and a very good one, I think.
I got one for you, Rose.
Okay.
30 seconds on Hellscream.
Which one?
Older one.
Oh, the awesome father who ends up going from, this trail rise of, falls, ends up causing a few issues, rises, falls again, rise, ends up freeing the horde by burying his axe, and then, of course, his son, it's, not even worth mentioning. I stand for Orcus. You don't know crap about honor. Sit. Shut up. Behave. Your father freed your entire people from the horde alongside Thrall. You're nagging because people aren't your same kind of orc. Piss off. At least with Grommash, man had honor. Orc actually knew what it was to stand up for something. Knew what it was to not be a frickin' slave. No. His son, I'm going to be mini Hitler. Yahal! Zug Zug? Yes, that's it.
Okay, that's great.
Then he turned into a giant, ugly tentacle monster.
I could make a joke about certain markets, but I'm going to leave that one alone just in case we piss off fans.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, we like our fans, so please don't get mad at us.
Yeah, as is, I'm probably going to get, how can you hate Star Wars? Because I'm from Star Trek. I learned how to do Live Long and Prosper at 4. Give me a break.
I like both. Can we not like both?
We can like both. We just know that one is automatically better than the other.
I wouldn't even say that.
One of them has
Say
troubles
much.
with trebles.
I think they both have their pros and cons.
There you go. Nice fence sitting. Okay, Dritz. Dark Iron Dwarves, what do you got?
Oh, man.
I wanted that one.
The fat coal miners. I love them just because of who and what they are and what they represent. I've never seen a fantasy character in this particular game that is so hardworking yet so utterly sloshed at the same time. And they've somehow managed to refine their own beer when Brewfest rolls around, and it's utterly delicious. And I have no idea how they pull that off year after year after year. But yeah, just the lore behind them is amazing. It's very different from any other dwarf that I've seen.
They are an interesting one to be sure. Okay. So, how about Night Elves?
Night elves or Napiers? I should make that joke. I play Kaldor.
It was a good joke.
Elfist.
I play Kaldor sometimes, so pretty good though. Why do some people think it's always a good idea to piss off the ones who become one with the night? I honestly do not know. But yeah, you want to talk about a race that can be just about anything and everything you ever wanted? There you go. Let's see. They're fine with Fel. They can basically eat a demon and become part demon. They are druids. They are priests. They can be healers. They can be warriors. They can be fighters. And they come back from the dead as Death Knights. They can be just about anything and everything. I think they go paladins. I don't think they can become paladins.
There is one in game by lore, but
Well, there's... Okay, so Blizzard's doing a special snowflake on that one.
Mhm.
But otherwise, they're actually from Trolls. So I thought it was very interesting on their whole lore. And they have a lot of lore.
well, speaking of trolls, Mios, how about you give us 30 seconds on them?
On what?
Trolls.
Oh, just trolls in general? Someone that loves studying culture, I'm fascinated with the trolls. The ideas of like all the different tribes with all their different individual cultures spread out across the world. It's intriguing, and no one tribe is, if you pay attention to them, is the same as the other. And there's real world influences, of course. Native American, South American. There's just a lot of really cool things that they seem to have drawn in for the troll culture. I would even say Caribbean and Africa.
There are definitely hits that lean each way, and it is kind of fun that the low are all uniquely different.
Okay, I got another one for you, Rose.
Okay.
Gnomes. 30 seconds. Go.
Okay, well, you got the fun little inventor gnomes that are all slightly psychotic but want to do builder better faster, the builder better mousetrap race, which is kind of fun. I'm not going to lie, it still makes me laugh my butt off that it took till Cataclysm to get priests, because like, we're gnomes, can we follow the light? Well, if the light is my spark wrench, yes. All hail the dark spanner. Blessed art thou among tools, for great is thy grip. But those I'd rather deal with than the build a gnome. Sorry, I've been calling them something else that's not exactly PC for YouTube. But I don't like the mechagnomes because like all the body issues, all the dysmorphia of I'm going to cut an arm off and replace it with tech. Okay, but you can't feel anything now. Like you can't hug somebody and feel the body heat off of it. I mean, it's the sensor, sure, it's not the same thing. So it's like all the dysmorphia, we can do better, right? But do you need to see somebody instead? Like before you go hacking bits off, maybe just talk to somebody about it. Yeah, just a little bit.
Is
But we can make it better.
Something I've always wondered about with that, is we're already seeing races that have very different psychologies, like the dwarves. Most humans don't like living underground. They like big open places like valleys. Dwarves love underground. They feel comfortable there. The gnomes just might not care that their arms are gone.
This is true, and in that regard, it is kind of interesting to see how they write in culture, because our normal gnomes are very different from the mechagnomes, especially when you think about what the mechagnomes took to finally get involved with other races and not do it. It was the forced mechanization, not the and at that point, does the argument for gnomes come down to the argument like with why Bane finally stepped up and told Sylvanas to shove it is the argument of free will.
It does make it interesting, and like you said, the idea of the forced mechanization and complete mechanization, to them it was almost a subject that required thought. Like we would think like, hey, we're gonna chop you up into pieces and make you a robot, and you think that's a horrible thing to witness, and for us it is. But to them, they were almost honestly considering it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but just an interesting thought. But I think that is about all the time we have for this episode.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, that's it for this episode.
Well, there's always next one.
Oh yeah. Always fired up about that one.
Can't wait to see y'all there. Have a good one.
Have a good night, all, and happy hunting.
Till next time.